Chapter 11, An Inspiration from Tragedy. I have been asked many times what my inspiration is to put pen to paper, and although my intense hatred of the likes of Gleaves and Cook etc. have indeed been instrumental, it's something more tragic and heartbreaking to me. Martin Allen went missing on November 5, 1979. He was seen getting on the London Underground at King's Cross, in the company of a blonde man, and has never been seen or heard of since. The case is still strong in many people's memory and one of the most infamous child disappearances in modern history. But what happened on that day back in 1979? Rumors are numerous, but facts are very few. But for the tenacity of Martin's brother Kevin, then I'm sure this case would have been swept under the carpet along with the many other missing child reports. Kevin was also warned to shut up by the police when he made allegations of a top-level cover-up. Martin was a 15-year-old schoolboy on his way to visit his brother at the time of his disappearance. His father Tom was the chauffeur at the Australian High Commission and lived in the grounds. 37 years have passed since the terrible day when Tom and Eileen Allen last saw their son. Sadly, both of them have passed away without ever knowing just what happened that day. Of course, there are many rumors as to what happened, from VIP pedophile rings to the Sydney Cook gang. But the truth is that whatever did happen was swathed in secrecy, with very little witness testimony or sightings apart from him being seen in the company of a man with blonde hair who had his hand on Martin's neck and allegedly telling Martin not to run. The description of blonde man, white male 6 feet in height, aged between 30 and 40 years of age and wearing a casual denim-type jacket. Surprisingly, no CCTV footage is available with Martin, although British Rail Police did have this available, as was proven in the 1970s when Gleaves was wandering around King's Cross and Euston picking up young boys. There he is again, and also King's Cross Station. I must confess I have long held the belief that the Bishop was involved in Martin's disappearance. With rumors of uniforms and Gleaves' MO operating at mainline stations, it beggars belief why someone like him would not be questioned about Martin vanishing. I pray that one day Martin's disappearance is solved and Kevin and his family get some closure. Martin's abduction, and I truly believe he was taken, is not the only case from this era. Vishal Malhotra, Daniel Handley and Jason Swift were also abducted and sadly later murdered by a pedophile gang. Vishal was taken on the day of Prince Charles and Diana Spencer's wedding and again just disappeared while heading home with his family in Putney in southwest London in 1981. His partial remains were later found at a place called Rogate in Sussex, 48 miles away. Vishal's father, Vishamber Malhotra, like Kevin Allen, accused the police of a cover-up, and just as in Martin's case, nobody was brought to justice, although rumours abound that both boys may have been taken to the Elm Guest House in Barnes, southwest London. This is where a VIP pedophile ring is strongly alleged to have been operating, and the police raided looking for evidence of crime against children. Coincidentally, Vishal, Daniel Handley and Jason Swift were all abducted and their remains were found in remote places, miles from their home. Is this coincidence, or could the same person or people be responsible? This was not the first time the brothel was visited by plot either. A young boy reported to passing officer that he had been abused there, and when police took the child to the address in Barnes Lane, he is alleged to have pointed out former Tory bigwig Leon Britton as his assailant. No charges were ever brought against him. Indeed, this does appear to be the norm when it comes to VIP rings or individuals. Cyril Smith was an alleged regular visitor to the known gay brothel of Elm Guest House and was allegedly stopped outside where a vast quantity of child abuse material was found in his car. A simple phone call and he was on his way, as seemed to be the way most of the time back then. Who was protecting who then is anyone's guess, but whoever it was can only be someone with both political and judicial muscle. It's a well-known fact that many alleged, and I do apologize for my continual use of this word, pedophiles within the Westminster VIP ring were people with judicial pedigree and high court experience, so would no doubt have known each other and been in discussion, with client confidentiality no doubt. Chapter 12. Obviously, if justice is served, then there is going to be so much scandal getting household names tarnished away on a dusty shelf. Be prepared to hear names of people that will not only shock but will rock the very horrific foundations of our society. Who just wants to put the truth out there, knights of the realm, to show the world the horror which exists in this hell we call home. Heinous crimes against children is beyond my thinking, and most other identifiable facts or public domain information must be aware of what's going on, especially as former official of military intelligence that has invaded our country. But Peter most of all, I'd like to think of crimes against children that is normal in our society, as being a member of the pedophile disappearing anytime soon. Only your vigilance and love of your children will keep them from the horrors I have written about here. Thank you for getting this far without throwing me away on a dusty shelf. And
I
that
am
is
not
that
a
every
well-educated
street in this
man,
country potentially
just a
has a
survivor of a
pedophile living
horrific
there,
episode
and
of
they may be the
anyone's
most
life who just
amazing
wants to
people
put
you
the
know.
truth out
I
there.
wouldn't expect
To
you to
show
be
the
going
world
out
the
hunting
horror
them
which
down.
exists in this hell we call
The
home.
cold hard fact
I
of the
have as
matter
much
is they
as
don't
is
all
humanly
wear dirty
possible
old
kept
mechs
to
and look
publicly
like perverts.
identifiable facts
They
or
are in
public
government
domain
and run
information.
councils as well as work in
I
shops
trust
and
that
tea
I have
rooms.
made
They
you
uphold
all
the
feel
law
angry
and
and
treat our
disgusted
kids
by
by
the
the
filth
filth
that
that
has
has invaded
invaded
our
our
country.
school.
They are
But most
everywhere
of
in
all,
all
I'd like to think
societies and
I've opened
jobs.
your eyes to the horror that
So
is
I have
normal in
reached
our
my end
society
here.
today
A
and
long
shows no
journey.
sign of
My
disappearing
journey of
anytime
fear.
soon. Only your vigilance and love of your children will keep them from the horrors I have written about here. I will say this before I end this horror story, and that is that every street in this country potentially has a pedophile living there, and they may be the most amazing people you know. I wouldn't expect you to be going out hunting them down. The cold hard fact of the matter is they don't all wear dirty old mechs and look like perverts. They are in government and run councils as well as work in shops and tea rooms. They uphold the law and treat our kids in hospital and teach them in school. They are everywhere in all societies and jobs. So I have reached my end here, a long journey, my journey of fear.